evening everyone, hopefully everyone is okay on this channel. For today's tutorial, we are going to look at how one can create an attendance list to track the students' attendance in Microsoft Excel as well. We are also going to look at Vlookups. Vlookup is an acronym meaning vertical lookups. We are also going to take a look at horizontal lookup. Horizontal lookup means an Hlookup. In our real life situations, you will always hear people talking about Hlookups during data statistics, data analyzing using Microsoft Excel. Get to know there will be meaning horizontal lookup. Don't get lost. Meanwhile, we shall dive deeper into the basics of an Excel sheet. How does it look like? However, without wasting much of our time, allow me to get to the first mission or this tutorial today. We want to create a video. We want to create an attendance list like this one. In this case, we have the students' names here. These are days of the week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So we want to create the same thing that will allow our user to do what? Clicking. By default, a Microsoft Excel sheet does not look like this. However, we can create one like that looks like it. So that means I'll have to create a new sheet here. Then I put names of students. Then I put days of the week by their first letters, as Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday, also Friday. I'll have to decrease these columns for days to a sizable size, as well as I have to include these for names. That means that I have to have maybe Mugume, Matthias Mpuga, I have to have Navasa Colin, Nanyondo Mase, Nahuela Sala, then Muganzi Edward, then Waheleza Anita, then Muhechi Anna, Ninsima Bonita, then Natujuka Gerard, and lastly Nimsima Akleo. So these are the names of students, but in the first place, let me change the appearance of our column headers. I need them to be italics and bolded. I have to come here, select it, italics and bold it. Same does to this, italics and bold. Same does to this, italics and bold. Same, italics and bold. Same, italics and bold. So that means you'll have to insert tick boxes like you're seeing them here. These are tick boxes. You see them? They allow you to do what? Do the ticking. Meanwhile, that's what I have to do on my sheet too. So I have to come to developers, get to insert tick boxes. Eventually they'll give me this arrow you're seeing. I'll have to come and click here, drag it in here. However much you see the word checkbox in here, I have to right click, then say edit text. As they are saying edit text, you see the blinking cursor. I need to use the arrow on my keyboard and do what? The delete. And do the deleting. Meanwhile, it's here. I've done it for the first time. I've done it. So if I want to do it still for purposes of this video, if I want to understand, I still have to come here. It's found in developers, but in situations where you don't see developers over your tabs, I want you to get to view. No, I don't get back to view. Just right click here. I want you to customize the ribbon. If you want to customize the ribbon, get here. If your developers is unselected, I want you to select it and press OK. But for mine, it's already activated. So I want to insert another day. another tick box for another student. So I have to come here, do the same, and bring it there. However, I want to delete the words that are inside. I have to come and edit text. By use of the arrow on my keyboard, I have to move around these words. Let me just increase it for purposes of viewing it clearly. I use the arrow, I delete it. So let me first go back one step and align it to its box. Hopefully now it's already there. So now that it is here, I hope I can easily copy it. Ctrl C, go on pasting it to the columns. So you go on pasting it. Go on pasting it for every student. Ctrl V, that's what I'm pressing, to go on pasting it for every student. Same happens for Tuesday. Patience page, let me just fill up all these. Patience page. Yeah, I want it to be pasted there. Okay. I also want it to be pasted here. So now we are on Wednesday, Thursday, paste it here. Wednesday still happens to this. Still. I'm just pasting the tick boxes. Be patient. I know you understand this. Be patient, bro. I know you guys shall understand. Control V. Control V. Control V. Control V. So I need to align this maybe. Why? Need also to paste that, I hope. Paste there. Paste here. Paste. Paste. Oh, let me control this so that I can go on and fill my boxes clearly. So now all the boxes have the tick box. So for purposes of neatness, let me first increase this. So if you came and clicked in here, you'll see that you'll be able to do what? To select for children who have been patient. But our attendance list now looks to be dull. It might need a heading at the top. Maybe I'll have to insert one. But before inserting a heading, I need to tell you all how you can insert a new row. So just place your cursor here. Immediately, a bold arrow key will appear behind the column like this you're seeing. So you need to right click. Immediately you get to right click, the topmost arrow of yours shall have to be highlighted, meaning you're going to insert one above it. Place insert. You see, I've been able to insert one column at the top. So I need to input the heading. Let's say we have BSU demo P7 class, P7 class attendance list. So I do highlight it. No need of highlighting. I need to highlight these columns. Then merge center. By saying merge and center, I'm trying to delete the rows, the columns in this row so that I can create space for me to input this text. I think I'm clear. Meanwhile as well, I need to highlight this one, italicize it and bold it. For purposes of this video, I'm going to assign it a different font color. It could be a red one. Then here I need to add a last subheading. Maybe it could be total attendance. Total attendance. I need to increase the size of the column. That's how I do it. Meanwhile, I have to assign or I have to enclose my work in borders. We put borders around our work so that it can be easy for one to print out that very specific work. For instance, if you went to print view now and looked at how your work is looking like, you'll be capable to see that you're going to print the exact document you are creating. However much if you didn't provide headers, if you didn't provide borders like we did, you could have printed the whole worksheet, which is useless. So for now, let's rename our sheet 2 to students attendance. I just have to come here, right click and rename it students, full stop. So as of now, I hope the attendance list is done. Now let's look at Vlookups. By default, the word Vlookup can be written or can be talked about as a vertical lookup. For one to work with a vertical lookup on provided data like this one, has to keep in mind that there are a key rules that governs a VLOOKUP. Like any other mathematical expression, a vertical lookup has rules governing it. In the first place, we say that it must begin from left to right. Why do I mean? It begins from our left to the right. It cannot begin from right to the left. Then another rule is that the lookup value should belong to the first column of the table array. So meanwhile, if I tap here, I'll get to see my formula that I used to obtain this value, which is our VLOOKUP value. So this law, where does it apply? The lookup value should belong to the first column of the table array. In this formula, my table array is B2 columns D1. Immediately I highlight it, you will see my table being highlighted. So the first column of the table array is this one. You understand it? So they are saying that the lookup should be unique in the column. But before that, the lookup value should belong to the first column of the table. So the value that has to be worked upon in the VLOOKUP, it should belong to the first column of the table. Meanwhile, it should be in this table. The table what? Array. Of course, that's why you saw me while trying to obtain the VLOOKUP that will come up with a price of the product whose ID is Uganda 120,000. I assigned the VLOOKUP B1 to the table array B5 up to D11. The table we are meaning is this table where we have the product code that we want to use to obtain the product. We don't want to use a product name because we have various product names here, but we want to obtain a product's price whose ID is Uganda 120,000 shillings. Meaning, I can't use the product's names, but rather I need to use product code because a product cannot have the same code. So that's why you saw me saying B1. Where is our B1? It's automatically here. The B1 we are having here is the product code for the mobile phones. It makes this mobile phone different from the two mobile phones we have in the table because it has a different product code. So B1, from the table array B2, B5 colon to B5, meaning B5 colon to D11. I want this table. The table with product code, quantity, and price. That's what I go ahead to do what? Select. This is the index table. Index. It means I need the 3 columns that in this table. of the whole table, I need an index of the three columns. The three columns that have been referenced above, B5 to D11 as the table array, comma, I put a 0. A 0 means an operand true. Are we clear? After that, I press enter. Immediately after having pressed enter, you find out that I've got almost 1,200,000 Ugandan shillings, which is the exact price for our product mobile phones, with the product ID Uganda shillings 120,000. Are we clear? Then this policy, what we are doing here, brings us to the last law of the lookup rules. Lookup should be unique in the column. The fact that the rule says that it should be unique in the column, in as much as we had 3 products named mobile phones, we didn't want to use this column. We came here in the product code because we know that a product can have a different product code from a fellow product. So that's why we use the product code of this mobile phone, which marked it to be distinctive from other mobile phones. I hope we are clear. Now let's go ahead and look at horizontal lookups. By default, people call it Hlookup, yet it's called horizontal lookup. Those two things are similar. So how do you get to know that now I'm going to create a horizontal lookup or a vertical lookup? If you look at the two tables, this is a horizontal table. Why it's a horizontal table? Because it has row headings. You see them? Row headings, product code, quantity, price. However much in the vertical lookup, we have column headings. You understand? Here we have row headings. In the vertical lookup, we have column headings. That's one of the distinction between the two. Then, flattened horizontal relation. Our relation here, our table is flattened and it's horizontal like you're seeing it. But here our table is what? Is vertical. It's longer. Also vertical and longer here. But if you look at this, it's just a horizontal table. In simple terms, its length is larger compared to its width. But this one has almost a bigger width compared to its length. So let's get back to the horizontal lookup. So if I want to do a horizontal lookup now, what do I need to use? Is to tilt the idea I used for a vertical lookup to create a horizontal lookup, however much I'm reacting on horizontal data. I want to determine the price of a mobile phone with a product ID XY, to mention but a few. So I come here, put operands, type in Hlookup, assign it cell A10. What do you think is in cell A10? It's the mobile phone. Then pass in a table array B4 up to E7. B4, table array B4 up to E7. Then a comma, put a 3. Why? I have 3 products that I'm referencing through. I have 3 products that I want the lookup to clone through. 1, 2, 3. That's why I put a 3 here. Then put a 0. A 0 and a 1. 1 is meant for false. A 0 is meant for true. In this case, this is why I put here a 0. Can I put a 1? The false will be highlighted. But because I put a 0, that's why my answer still has to come as a true after all this operation. I'm telling my system the lookup, a horizontal lookup, because it's a function inbuilt within the system, to clone through the table B4 up to E7, which is this table, for the price of the product whose cell reference is A10 among the 3 products I'm having in a table. And lastly, the index should be a 0. And after that, I place and enter, and I get a result. By default, you will have to see that the mobile phone's price is exactly 1000. So it's not hard to work around with VLOOKUP and horizontal lookup, but it's only understanding the kind of data you're trying to relate through, you're trying to work with. So after that, let's get into the last form of our today's tutorial. We want to look at the Excel basics. Like any other softwares, Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint, Microsoft Access, Publisher, they do have their basics same as Excel. In the first place, I want to show you what are rows and columns, in as much as covered this in the first tutorial. Rows and columns. I told you that rows, these are lines that are protruding from the west to the east and vice versa, always marked from 1 downwards, marked numerically. However, columns, these are lines dropping from the north to the south, always labeled A up to Z. If you follow all these A, B, C, D, there will be no more alphabet up to Z. So it will be clear for me to say that these are 26 columns within a worksheet, because I know that alphabets are always 26. Am I mistaken? If I'm not mistaken. Then there are scroll bars. These are our scroll bars. What do? They help us scroll around our worksheet. This is another one. This one is horizontal. This is vertical. Then the tab bar. These are our tabs. File. Do you want to save your file? Here we have new. If you want to create a new file, if you want to open an already existing file, if you want to save your file, these are the saving options. Do you want to print? Do you want to print view your work? This is the very area. Do you want to go ahead and print? These are the options where you need to select in order for you to do what? To do the printing. Let's get back to our tabs. This is home. Everything you see, the font types, font sizes, formatting features, all seeing around, these are found within the home tab. If you go to insert, you have the pivot table, recommended tables, illustrations to mention but a few, page layout, the appearance of your page according to color, according to something. So can I want to maybe change the color of this column or this row? I need just to come and select the row, then right click while inside it and format cells. With format cells, we shall see a number of options: number, alignment, font, border, fill, the color. But I want to put a color in this row. Let me select a color. I've selected this one and pressed OK. Eventually it will appear here. In as much as it is a dull color, it's not the reason as to why I brought to us for this video. I just want to show you what are the key terms in this. So I Ctrl Z to undo everything. We have the orientation. Do you want it to be portrait, landscape, to mention by a few? Paper sizes. By default it's in this, but do you want to change them to A4, tabloid, to mention by a few? We have formulas. I told you this is meant for numerics. It's meant for mathematics. That's why we have formulas here, much more than you can find in any other software within the Microsoft suite you're having on your machine. Data. Do you want to extract data from somewhere, from the web, from text, from anywhere? This is the place that you can use. Do you want to sort your data? Do you want to filter? Data is the tab that contains all that. Review. Do you want to look within the system settings of your work? This is the place. This is the tab you have to work with. Then view. The appearance of your page, layout of your page, it's found in here. Developers. In as much as some of you may not find this option here, developers, but you can easily get it. You can just come here and right click in this empty space and then customize your ribbon. By customizing your ribbon, you will see customize here being selected. Then you need to come to the last section of it, developers. If it's not selected, then select it, then say OK. It will get to appear. Then help. For those with complications about the software, this is the very place for you all, or for us all. No one is a genius about any kind of a software, but consistency and resilience will make you consistent. Then we need to look at the ribbon. Meanwhile, if I come and click here, in the white space at the end here, I'm going to customize the ribbon. What's the ribbon? The space in here. All this space you see here is our ribbon. I may want to collapse it, may not want to see it anymore. But for purposes of this video, and I myself, I always want to see my ribbon here. So what I do, I will undo what I've done. I'll just undo it. No, it has to come back. Yeah, don't collapse my ribbon anymore. So let's get back to our basics. Then we have the name box. If I come back to home, this is our name box. For instance, now by default it's showing A1 because it's the row the text I've selected is. Understand? So can I select this one? It will have to change. It's A3 because I've selected a different cell. I have the quick access toolbar. Want to search for tools? This is where you may go. Then the formula bar. This is our formula bar. For everything you select here, it will have to appear here. You want to zoom in and out of your document. Here is our feature. Then the file name, it is selected within here. If you came here, you need to save, then select your save name, your file name. Then a workbook. As I told you in other tutorials, if I added this worksheet, sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, sheet 4, and sheet 5, I'll come up with a workbook. Reason, a workbook is a combination of very many worksheets. However much a worksheet is a combination of columns and rows within a spreadsheet. So for today's video, that's all I had for you. Remember to tag a friend, to tag a family member, to tag everyone so that you can help me keep mobilized to keep on creating such content. Thank you. Thank you.